Hey Clear Lake peeps, Ross England here, Clear Lake Guide Service with your Clear Lake report. This is coming to you as it was done December 18th, Sunday, December 18th, 2022. As you can look around and see, another beautiful day in the neighborhood. There's one thing that you can't complain about. It's, well, or you can, is the weather up here. There's a lot of parts of the country that like it to be this way, that's for sure. Although we need the rain badly. So let's jump right into it. This is going to be kind of a long one, so you can cut me off anytime you want. All you got to do is push that button. Saw a lot of comments, had a lot of questions about the amount of rain that we got during the past week and a half. And let me just tell you, it really hasn't amounted to anything. I've talked to a couple of people around the lake who have rain gauges, and they've seen anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 inches of rain. What that has amounted to, Kelsey Creek, the creek that runs behind our house, started to flow. There was enough water that came in. It started to inflow, and over the course of about a week continued to drop. There's still water in it, and there's still some coming through it, but nothing of any consequence. If it was anything actually really useful, it would be muddy, and we'd be talking about something different on the lake. But right now it's relatively clean water that's coming in, so it's just a very manageable amount. Adobe Creek this last week actually has some water in it. I don't know if it's flowing actually out to the lake. That one's a real hard one to guess, but I'm going to say it probably isn't. It went from being dry ground to having water in it. The third main creek that we look at up on this side, Manning Creek, is dry. And then of course there's nothing happening in Rodman. So that's the situation with what water is doing. The current lake level is minus 2.33. Last year on this date, 12/18/21, we were at minus 0.97. So we're basically 2 1/3 feet lower than we were last year at this time. Just kind of shows the work that's cut out to try to get this lake back up. We need some weather, and it doesn't look like anything useful is coming this upcoming week. Maybe one storm that's coming through. We'll see. Right now, kind of hard to get excited about anything. Launch ramps, same 2 launch ramps are up and running, and that's 5th Street, Clear Lake Oaks. I talked to the ramp monitor today at 5th Street, talked to somebody who's been launching down at Clear Lake Oaks. They both are in good shape. I didn't experience any problems at all at 5th Street again, so those 2 launch ramps are available. And then if you want to pay, I think it's $10 for the Riviera launch ramp, which is down in the Redbud Arm. Again, I don't really have any details on that. I just know 1 or 2 people who've been using it. Apparently it's a little bit tricky getting your rig backed around, so it just depends on your experience level. The one guy I talked to who's pretty darn good at it didn't have any problems at all. Another one said it was a little sketchy on his part. But the actual launch ramp, once you're on it, was in good shape. So water clarity, I'll tell you what, in Lakeport it still looks like garbage. It's just, I'm gonna have to guess that what's going on, it's a brownish color. Vegetation is probably still dying, is what my guess is, because it's kind of a nasty brown looking color. Nothing that I really wanted to fish in. I got down as far as the mid-lake, down around, well, just the Narrows, and color changed down there. It started to get a little bit more to the green side, and I could see about 2 feet there compared to Lakeport, where 6 inches, 8 inches at best. Water temperature, 46 to 48. 46 when I started out at noon today, and 48 when I'm quitting at 3:30 or whatever time it is. So hang on just a second. Let me see if I can move the sun for you. You never know what's going to happen when you start to do these things. There we go. Okay. I think that covers all the conditions. Let's talk about previous weekends. ABA tournament. I believe it was 15 boats. I believe of those 15 boats, 8 of them blanked. Winning team had around 14 pounds, 4 fish. I think if I saw it correctly, there was only 3 or 4 teams that weighed in more than 1 fish. I've fished tournaments like that here. Jim and I took second in a tournament here one time later in the winter when we had 2 fish. The winning team had 3. We had big fish with a 2 3/4 pounder, and most of the field blanked. So you know what? It's competition. Yeah, everybody wants to catch fish, but the reality is you're just competing against the fish and your buddies in the tournament. So it doesn't make any difference if everybody's weighing 25 pounds, 25-pound bags, or just scratching to catch fish. There aren't too many tournaments that are held when somebody doesn't weigh in a fish. So the important lesson there, if you think you had a bad day, make sure you weigh your fish in, just in case. You never know until it's done. So that, you know, who knows what's going on with this lake? I mean, I really wish I had an answer for you. I'm just gonna wait till next spring. I'm kind of done talking about it at this point. The fish that we do catch are fat, in excellent shape. I don't see the amount of bait that, you know, we typically have, but I think there's a lower fish population, and that lower fish population is taking advantage of the food that's here. Because I'll tell you what, there's just these fish are in excellent shape. You'll see one towards the end here. Let's talk about crappie a little bit, just because I keep getting asked about it. I went, I checked 2 different areas today that usually during the winter, and by this time of winter, people are fishing and catching crappie. And here's a little video that shows you what those 2 look like. Okay, in a normal winter, there'd be boats sitting all over this. This is shag rock. Somebody would be either catching a few bass on live bait, catfish on spoons, or crappie. We got 1 boat sitting out here, bait fishing. Don't know exactly what he's doing, but probably won't talk to him either. But in this area, you should probably see 15 to 20 boats. And here's Konote. I don't think I've ever come by here on a winter day, especially from mid-December on, especially a Sunday, especially a day as beautiful as this is, and not seeing people sitting here crappie fishing. I ran into Ed Legan today out on Shag Rock, and he was trolling around with his front-facing sonar looking for crappie, and I talked to him about what's going on, you know, because he's probably, out of all the guides up here, he's the one who spends the most time looking for crappie, getting on crappie, and doing actual crappie guide trips. And he has talked to one person over the last month that had like a 30 fish day. He's talked to other people who were, you know, anywhere from nothing to 15 fish. So there's nothing really going on with the crappie. Will it? I don't know. You know, it's just amazing to me that here it is, the middle of December, and I can run around the lake and I don't see, you know, a herd of people sitting somewhere whacking on a school of crappie. Just haven't seen it. And I've had a couple people tell me, well, you know, it's still early in the year and whatnot. And I can just tell you from past experience, I can remember bringing my son and wife out here on a Christmas day. This was quite a while ago. And once my son figured out what a bite felt like, he caught 97 crappie in 97 casts. So it's the time of year this should be going on, and usually we start to get into some of them, you know, around Thanksgiving time, and I just don't have anything to report as far as crappie. I don't know if it's because there's just not enough people fishing for them. You know, the one thing about it, what I've learned over the years up here, if there's a crappie bite, there's a bunch of people out, the word gets out, and they're after them. So it just doesn't seem like it's happening. So, okay, I wanted to talk to you about the ABA tournament. I wanted to talk to you about crappie. Catfishing, I did run into one gentleman who was anchored off of Shag Rock, and he had caught 2 cats there. He was bait fishing, and he had started down the Rattlesnake area, and I kind of laughed to myself. He was sharing with me that he had his 2-rod stamp, and he had 2 rods out, but they were going in different directions, and he couldn't get to either one of his rods at the right time. So when I talked to him, he still had 2 rods out, but they were both within easy reach. So I think he'd learned his lesson with that. But he said he had 4 or 5 fish that just whacked the living crud out of him down there. But he left. So, you know, that's about everything that I know as far as what's going on. Believe me, this is a time of year. I think I said it last time. You cannot beat this kind of weather. It's a beautiful lake. For the most part, there's nobody here. I mean, it's a Sunday, it's gorgeous, and I have counted 4 boats besides mine out here today. You know, if you just want to come out, I don't care what you do. I mean, I came out today and just said, I'm just going to try to end the year on a high note, which ending the year on a high note would be catching a fish. And I actually caught a catfish and I caught a bass. I'm more happy about catching the catfish, but I caught 2 nice fish today. It's a great way to end the year. If you're only going to get a couple of bites, if you want to go and toss a big bait around, you know, a swim bait, and try to get that one big bite, why not? Go for it. The only thing that I would say that you're probably going to be disappointed about is if you come in here just trying to catch a bunch of fish. Because as far as I know, that's just not happening. Hopefully it'll turn around. Hopefully next year, 23 will be a better year. I think it's all just going to depend on the water level and, you know, what happens in January, February, maybe even March as far as water this year. So I'll tell you what, like I said, the fish that I've caught over the last month and a half are absolutely in awesome shape. They look like they're ready to go on a bed. That's how fat they are and how good a shape they are. There just hadn't been very many of them. So that is going to be my report. This will be the last report of this year. I probably won't do another report until sometime in mid-January. We'll have to see how it goes. It's just not been a whole lot of fun coming out here and busting tail for the small amount of results. We got family stuff going on, which we're at a point in our life where that's more important than the fishing. So we're going to be doing a little bit of traveling off and on. So from Debbie, G-Dog, and myself, thanks for watching. I hope this has been useful to you this year. It's been an interesting year to see this thing grow. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, if we get a lot of rain and the water comes up, then you guys aren't going to care about anything I got to say anymore anyway, once the launch ramps are going. So Merry Christmas to you all, and you'll see and hear from me when you see and hear from me. Well, we didn't get skunked today, so last trip of the year. At least we did something right. They smoked this thing. Little swim bait. Nice fish. Probably 13, 14 pounds. Hey, looky there. It's like almost a semi-grown one. It's been a good day, Tater. There you go, buddy.